करायचंय काही.
हां,
ठीक
तुम्ही
आहे.
आता इथे जर पोल्सवर क्लिक केलं ना, आपल्याला मी 2-3 टाकले
हो,
आहेत.
मी बघितले पोल्स.
बाकी मी आता न्यू आहेत माझ्याकडे ते मी
बघितले मी.
क्रिएट करेल. मला आता वेळ नाही मिळाला ॲक्चुअली यांनी आत्ता दिले
ठीक.
मला.
हां, हां. नो प्रॉब्लेम. अच्छा, रेकॉर्डिंग पण मी करायचंय, तू करणार? कारण काल पूजाचा मेसेज आला त्याच्यात होतं रेकॉर्डिंग ती करणार म्हणजे असं. तर मग रेकॉर्डिंग कोण करणार आहे?
मी करणार. तुम्ही नका करू.
म्हणजे मला
मी
फक्त क्वेश्चन आन्सर आणि इंट्रो एवढंच आहे.
हो, हो, हो. ते मी बघते. मी करणार ते. आणि हे स्टार्ट मी पण ॲक्चुअली फर्स्ट टाईम करत आहे.
अच्छा,
तर
ओके, ओके. ऑल द
हां,
बेस्ट सगळ्या फर्स्ट टाइमर्स होत.
ॲक्चुअली हॅलो? हां. हं. ठीक आहे. आणि हां. एकदा नागासुब्रम सरांनी एकदा लॉग इन केलंय का पूजा ते चेक कर. फॉरगॉट पासवर्ड करून त्यांनी लॉग इन केलाय की नाही ते. रजिस्टर केलाय की नाही. हां. हां. त्यांचा आधी आवाज येत होता. इंटरनेट कनेक्टिव्हिटी आहे इश्यू आहे.
नॉर्मल मेसेज करू शकते. आणि 30 रुपये चालेल.
डन. आणि हां, ठीक आहे. आणि हे स्टार्ट वेबिनारवर क्लिक करायचं का पूजा? की ते ऑटोमॅटिकली होणार आता? आय हॅव टू क्लिक ऑन इट. हां. ओके. जिथे लिहिलंय बघ वर शेड्यूल स्टार्ट ॲट 2 मिनिट 27 सेकंड्स होत आहे ते. तर त्याच्यानंतर तिथं स्टार्ट वेबिनारचा एक आयकॉन आहे. सो आय हॅव टू क्लिक ऑन दॅट. हां. हां, they will start, but I have to ask her to click on that, no? ओके, डन. आणि हे पोलिंगचं थोडं कधी-कधी कुठले-कुठले क्वेशन्स टाकायचे आहेत ते? पोलिंग कुठल्या-कुठल्या टाईमला टाकायचं ते क्वेशन्स? आर यू स्टुडंट? हां, ते. हां. हं. ओके. त्याच्यावर जर स्टार्ट पोलिंग केल्यावर ते ऑटोमॅटिकली चाललं जाणार ना, जे मी आता प्रीलोड केले आहेत त्याच्यात? ठीक आहे, ठीक आहे. ते बघू आणि हो, ते सरांचं बघ एकदा फक्त. You can try from my
लवकर जा शमी.
link also. Check it. Actually, he's logging from another system. Ma'am, when you'll be starting, no, you have to click on start the webinar.
ओके.
And then you can start the introduction. We will start at sharp 11:30
ओके. सो
or 11. Huh.
आय विल कंटिन्यू टिल ही जॉईन्स.
Right. For
प्रोडक्शन संपली तरी पण मला करायला. ओके,
हां.
45 सेकंड्स दाखवतोय.
ठीक आहे. आपण 11:31ला स्टार्ट करूया.
ओके.
आणि तुम्ही तोपर्यंत इंट्रोडक्शन स्टार्ट करा. आय विल आस्क हिम टू जॉइन.
आता मी ना आता मी एक डॉक्युमेंट ओपन केलंय ते तुला दिसत नाहीये ना स्क्रीनवर?
नाही.
हा, कारण इंट्रोडक्शन आहे, सो मी रीड करणार आहे म्हणून विचार.
नाही, मला नाही दिसत आहे ते.
ठीक आहे, ठीक आहे.
सर दुसऱ्या सिस्टमवरून लॉग इन होत आहेत तर बोलले मला. त्यांचा WhatsApp मेसेज आलाय.
होईल लाईव्ह.
सो मी माझा ऑफ करून घेईल कॅमेरा, ठीक आहे? हां, बोल. ते झालं वाटतं स्टार्ट.
Good morning, everybody. So we'll be starting in a moment. Just give me 1 second. Good morning, friends, and welcome to the first session of the series. And I'm sure you're excited about your career, and you have just got your results, and you're super excited to choose the right career for you. And I think this is the best platform that you have got to start with regarding your career guidance. Myself, Mrs. Madhura Bhide. I have industry experience of over 17 years. I would be the moderator for this session. Um, so to begin with the futuristic career in healthcare and medicine and pharmacy, we have a very renowned speaker today. And let me introduce briefly about our speaker. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. A. Naga sir. Uh, Let me just take you through his introduction. Dr. A. Nagasubramaniam, he is also a wing commander, is a rare combination of doctor, soldier, teacher, administrator, and a social worker of all rolled into one. He is an alumnus of prestigious Madurai College and Sri Ramchandra Medical College for medical studies. He honed his medical skills as well as management skills by being an alumnus of IIM Lucknow. He worked at all around country in all types of healthcare organizations as a clinician, which included ONGC, onshore and offshore rings, remote rural hospitals, leprosy centers, and private practice. He served in Indian Air Force, as I mentioned, he's wing commander, for 14 years meritoriously. He was a part of the team which won the coveted Raksha Mantri Trophy while serving at Command Hospital Air Force, Bangalore in 2012. So, to tell you in his words, he wanted to get out of the operation theater because by profession he was an anesthetist. And after hanging out his uniform, he joined Narayana Health as facility director in one of its hospital at Bangalore and kick-started the operations and successfully ran it for 4 years. Following this, he tried his luck as an entrepreneur and worked with healthcare startups. After a stint with SCG Cancer Hospital, now he is currently working as a medical director at Fortis Hospital in Bangalore. He has also authored a book on medical logistics for benefit of armed forces personnel, which was well received in that circle. He is also one of the top 5 national level skill trainer in healthcare. He is the recipient of Air Officer Commanding in Chief Medal while in Air Force, Compassionate Care Award from Dr. Devi Shetty while serving the NH, International President and District Governor Appreciation Certificates from Lions International. He's a member of Toastmasters International and Lions International movement, which he feels helps him to balance his work-life pressures and helps him stay grounded. He's also a mentor for startups at NSRCL at IIM Bangalore. He has been a guest speaker in various international and national and international conferences over the period of years. He is an adjunct faculty at Christ University and IIHMR Bangalore. He also takes time in social work to serve underprivileged. Along with his wife, he works for a slum children through Vonisha Service Foundation and so far has mainstreamed around 400 children, which impacts at the grassroots level. So this was brief about his accomplishments, and I'm sure there is more feathers in his hat. So it's my privilege to introduce you to Doctor, and I would request him to take over the session now. And before that, just one announcement I have to make. If you have any questions, I would request you to put it in the Q&A section. We'll take it either at the topic which would be under discussion, or we would take it at the end of the session. So you are welcome to put any question you have in the Q&A session. Now I welcome Dr. Nagasubramaniam, and I would like to take over him the session. Thank you all. I think Doctor is trying to connect through. Just bear with us for a second. Doctor, are you connected? So I believe that there is some technical problem in Doctor getting connected. Meanwhile, I have a poll for you. If you can just go to polls and submit your opinion there, that would be helpful for me to understand what kind of viewers we have, what category of viewers we have. Can I have you another poll just to get a feeling of the population here? Okay, great. So we have most of the population which is completed the 11th and 12th standard, and most of the students have passed 12th standard. So I think this is the right kind of forum that we have now in place. So I would hand it over to Naveen sir. Uh, Meanwhile, Dr. Nagasubramaniam joins.
So, good morning, all parents and all students. Uh, Great. So, it is very nice to have you all here. And while Dr. Naga Subramaniam joins us, I would just, welcome you all to understand everything about the healthcare and medical industry. Now, there is a lot of thinking. Everybody who's good in biology in 12th standard would be thinking that, I should become a doctor. Yes, that is one way to do things, but here we have a doctor who is in the armed forces, and then he is today a director in a complete hospital services. So he'll be talking to you about trying to make you understand that what all can you do in the field of healthcare and medical. It is not just doctor. There are so many things that you can do. For example, if you look at the field of health sciences today, just I speak to a lot of students when I'm mentoring them. A lot of people say that I'm good in biology, so I think I should go for medical. Now, that is a typical standard answer that we get from most students. That just because I'm good at biology or I like biology, I should go for medical. Now, what I'm trying to bring out here is, taking a decision to get into the medical stream at all needs to be a very conscious and well thought of decision. Why do I say that? Because the entire the amount of studies, the amount of effort that goes into becoming a doctor is very large. It's not a small time because the rest of the education gets over in 4 to 6 years. But a medical education doesn't get over. It takes a long time. You do your MBBS, then you do your MD, then you do your DM. In between, you do your internship, and then you do your specialization, super specialization, and then you work for some time in rural places, in urban places, till you develop your credibility in the market as a great doctor. You become about 28, 29 years of age. So till then you have to develop yourself. So my only request is that if you are deciding to get into the field of medical sciences, be very, very conscious about the entire field, know about the field very well, number one, know about the different opportunities that are available in the field, because the number of super specializations that are there are huge. Third, be very aware about the realities of the field. So go and visit a hospital, go and spend time with a doctor, understand how they work, understand what they do, and ask yourself whether this is something that you would like to do. Because it requires a different kind of attitude. They say, just to joke, put a joke, a doctor needs to be very patient. So if you are the restless kinds, if you cannot sit in one place, if you like jumping around from here to there, doing a lot of multiple things at one point in time, you need to think very clearly, because that's why patients are called patient. That's why a patient is called a patient, because you need to be very patient. So a basic quality of a doctor is you need to be very patient. You need to be a very good listener. So in the morning session we were talking about understanding yourself. Knowing yourself is very important. So you must be a person who is very knowledge oriented. If you want to be a doctor, if you want to get into the field of sciences, you need, at least if you're getting into the area of, say, being a doctor or being a research scientist too, that's another area which is an upcoming area. So if you are good at biology, you like biology, you must explore this area of being a research scientist also. That's another area which we will be talking about. But then you need to understand, okay, and within the medical scenario, there is a pharmacological research, there is, telemedicine, there is genetic research, there is life sciences research. There are a lot of research areas. Now, typically, if you look at a path of research, it is much lesser than the time required to become a doctor. And you have research scientists who are doing very well in terms of lucrative careers, in terms of going abroad, doing their PhDs, and getting a lot of reputation and value for themselves also. So do look at these two options whenever you're looking at options of the field of health and medicine. Do look at being a doctor side, and within the doctor, being a doctor, there are multiple options available. It is not necessary that you only have to be a doctor in the sum of a physician or a specialist in surgery. There are multiple options available, which I'm sure Dr. Nagasubramaniam comes in, he'll be able to throw light on it. And also, I have one of our alumni, Dr. Pramit Mukherjee, who has joined us here, who is a very, very old student of ours. So, he will also be talking to you on his journey and what he plans to do. And interestingly, after being a doctor, he plans to be, I believe, he plans to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to, share the secrets right now. I'll keep the secret in the bag. Let Pramit come and speak to you on it. So that's something that I would like to share. But having said that, the field of research is also a very beautiful field. So I'll just throw light about the field of research a little bit before we get Dr. Nagasubramaniam online. And I say, when you do research, today in the field of say health sciences, in the field of medical, you have amazing research institutes in India. For example, you have Indian Institute of Science Bangalore, which is one of the topmost institutes in India, which is actually quite low cost and very high value. That means if somebody really wants to get into research, you can always go and do your masters from IISc Bangalore. And I'll tell you something, that even if you're not able to crack your NEET, because I'll say most of the people who have come here for the session would be people who will be preparing for their NEET and they want to become a doctor. But having decided to become a doctor, what happens if you don't crack NEET? I'm sure this question is hitting most of your minds. Would I like to ask the audience, are you worried about just in case I don't crack NEET, then what? How many of you are worried about it? Can I get you on the chat box? Can you put in your answers there? How many of you are actually having this confusion? I'm sure 100% of you would have this little bit thought in your mind, isn't it? Now just imagine we have this thought in our mind that what would I do if I don't get through NEET? Now that's where I come in. I say that there are options, and there are amazing options where you can get into research, you can get into the field of basic sciences, and you can be number one in the world. You can win yourself a Nobel Prize. You can be most reputed scientist in that, and it is going to take much lesser time. In the next 6 years, you'll be ready. You'll be one of the paper presenter in the world. You'll be a great publisher. You'll be a great researcher. So imagine, you have that option available. So on one side, you have your NEET, which is going on. On the other side, you have a field of research where you can get into the bachelor's program in any college, in any university. And let me tell you, even if you don't make it through IISc Bangalore, there are ICERs in India. There are 7 ICERs. Okay, you can get into ICER, you can get into NICER. ICER stands for IISER, Indian Institute of Scientific and Engineering Research, and you have NICER. So there are a lot of areas in research that you can get into, and you can get into the field of biology itself. And within biology, there is life sciences, there is genetics, there is a lot of other areas which we can get into, and we can be great research scientists there. So don't worry if you don't crack NEET, get into a college, do your BSc, aim to get into IISc, aim to be one of the great scientists there, and your path is ready. So that is just to open up your minds a little bit, saying that don't get too worried if I don't make it to NEET, what happens? Because only 1% is going to crack the NEET. The remaining 99% are going to look for other options. So we want to make you comfortable saying that the best of the best scientists do come from the areas of doing fundamental research. Fundamental research is an upcoming option. The government is giving a lot of scholarships, and a lot of new avenues are opening up in the field of agriculture, which we're going to talk about in one of our sessions. In the field of food, in the field of genetics, in the field of biophotonics, there are new areas which are coming up. So I think Dr. Nagasubramaniam has come in. With that, Dr. Sir, can I hear your voice? Very good morning to you and welcome to this session. He's out again. Okay. Is Pramit in? Can we get Pramit to talk about his career then?
So meanwhile, Naveen sir has given us very useful insights, and he has given us different options that you can choose for. So by the time Dr. joins, I would like to brief about the career that I am into which is also related to pharma or medicinal industry, and which is very upcoming field, and it's just 15 years old field. So you have lot of things to do here. You have research you can do. There is a lot of scope for research. So I am into intellectual property, which you might be knowing through patents or trademarks or copyrights. These are some of the types of intellectual property that you would see some examples. You might be aware but not be thorough about it. So that is a really good field if you are pursuing pharmacy or even medical, because your inventions or new drugs, those are being invented, have to be first patented, and that creates huge assets for a company or the owner who is owning that particular intellectual property, be it trademark or be it patents. So do look into this career option as well, and you need to have the technical qualification, which could be MBBS degree, it could be an engineering degree, or it could be just BSc or MSc, preferably in chemistry or biochemistry or biotechnology, or just in biology or even life sciences. It is not mandatory that you should have a LLB degree or Bachelor of Law degree, but it is advisable, and if anybody is interested in law, they can pursue law after completing their science graduation, and then do a diploma in patents law or trademark law. So we have a lot of universities. For example, IIT Kharagpur. There is also Nalsar University, which is an open university. You can do a diploma, which is a one-year course in patents law or in trademark or in copyright. In many, even in cyber law, you can complete diploma and just join IP department of any pharmaceutical industry or a law firm for that matter. So this is really upcoming option, and you can choose to be on the technical side or the legal side when you are dealing with intellectual property. So it's a very good combination of technical knowledge as well as some legal background. And you can choose to pursue either technical knowledge alone or technical plus legal knowledge both. And you can be considered as in-house attorney for the pharmaceutical company or the medical research firm that you are working on. And you can also have patents in your name, which would be you would be the asset owner. So do look at these options, and do search for institutes like Nalsar and IIT Kharagpur, which offer these courses. And as I said, this started in India in 2005. So it is very upcoming field, and there are very few professional in this. And you would reach a very high position as to the global council, global IP council, so that you can take care of all the global territories, not just India, but the global territories, and you could reach a very high level in this career. There's a lot of scope here for research also. You can do a PhD in intellectual property, and you would be either as a faculty for intellectual property, or you could continue your job with a pharmaceutical or a law firm as well. So I would like you to consider this option as well.
Very nice, Madhura. I think interestingly, I have a person in my family who did her PhD in pharmacy. Okay, she's a doctorate in pharmacy, and then she went on to do her law. Okay, and she's a
Okay.
lawyer now, and she's running her own business into intellectual property rights, and she's very famous. Now you're a
Yes.
technical person who has complete knowledge of the drugs, and you
Yes.
also are a lawyer, so you are the right person to actually, guard the patents of all the research that is happening.
Exactly. So you could be an entrepreneur, as sir is saying. So that's the third option
Parents
you
wise,
have.
and
Your
yeah,
own
I think I
firm.
can see myself here down.
I think we have Pramit
Okay.
in here. Dr. Pramit has joined us. Uh, Pramit, can you hear me? Can you hear this? You'll have to unmute yourself, Pramit. So while Pramit joins us, okay, I'm just showcasing some slides of Dr. Nagasubramaniam. He's having some technical problem with his system, so he's unable to join us. So I'll just run through his presentation and try to make sense out of it. So what Dr. Nagasubramaniam is trying to tell is the healthcare sector provides opportunities to everyone. Now he happens to be the director at one of the large hospitals in Bangalore, and he says that the healthcare sector is providing opportunities to everyone. Now let's understand what are the type of opportunities that you can get into the sector, because when you enter the hospital, anybody enters into the hospital, you have right from you get into the hospital, you have somebody who is going to tell you to do some tests. So there are different kinds of tests. That means right from a blood test to a your ECG to the EEG to, so there are these people who are specialists in doing the testing. So there is a complete division which is looking at how to conduct those tests and be experts in those tests. There are radiologists, there are sonographers, there are cardio specialists. There are so many areas in which you can get into where you get testing. That is one. Then there are the paramedical staff which is there. There's another beautiful area. Somebody had asked about this question in the audience, saying that how is trauma care or emergency care? And I think that's a brilliant area which needs a lot of investment in our country. I'll tell you my personal example. I was in Ahmedabad, and I fell down and I had a scrape injury. My entire leg was scraped. Okay, and it was like it was open wound, and I was searching for a place where I can get it dressed up properly. And you'll be surprised, I could not find a single small clinic which would do the dressing for me. There are so many clinics where doctors are taking, looking at patients for fever or for giving them suggestions and giving a physician. But when it comes to doing a basic dressing or to ensuring that there is no infection in your wound, it was very difficult to find something. I had to enter into a large hospital and I had to shell out a lot of money to just get a small dressing done. Now this is an area which is a big opportunity coming out in our field, that if you're able to create a paramedical kind of an avenue available for common people, that's another area. And trauma care is something that's going to be in huge demand, whether it's an accident care or trauma care. I think it's a very, very sought after area. What do you think, Madhura? Can you throw some light on that?
Yes, yes. So that's where one of the question is also from the audience regarding the trauma care, and you said that's precisely correct, that trauma care is going to be the futuristic career, and that is what students should look for. Another, I when I was talking about some along with science, law as the career which I mentioned through intellectual property, there is another area which could be interrelated with medicine or science, would be biomedical engineering, which is more related to instrumentation, and especially the technology that would be useful for the medicine industry or the pharmacy industry, which would come with the equipments, different equipments you need. For example, now we are suffering from corona, and there is pandemic, and you have a lot of ventilators that are needed. Along with that, there are a lot of other technologies that are being invented with respect to especially the respiratory, because that is where you have your asthma devices, and also you have BP monitoring machines. So these all would come under biomedical engineering type of, because these are related to instrumentation or the surgical equipments, like you have the telescope that is used for surgery. So these kind of new equipments that are coming up is also part of biomedical engineering. So there are students who like both science and maths, like biology and both, and they are equally good at maths and biology, so they can consider this as the option. There is also another interconnected field, which I would say IT or computers, because we know computers are entering into every field now, and artificial intelligence, 3D printing are new arenas that are coming up, and those are taking over every technology. So this artificial intelligence, 3D printing is also used in pharmaceutical industry or the medicinal industry, and you would see a lot of new inventions coming up in this area. We'll see in future. There would be robotics. You might have seen on the TV that some robotic are being used right now at preliminary stage to help the patients and doctors, but in future you will have robots or technology who would remind you of your dose, you would remind you of your treatment, and there would be surgeries also will be done using robots. So of course there would be doctors that are needed anyways to make the judgment, but the tools which could be used for surgery, would one of the tools would be robotics. So this is somewhere the engineering and computer science is going to merge with biology or medicine. These are the fields which you can consider. I mean, you can gain, if you are MBBS or you are a science graduate, I would encourage students to learn new things like 3D printing and artificial intelligence, which they can use in their career ahead.
Thank you, Madhura. That was amazing. And in fact, I think another point is bioinformatics is another field which is very
Right.
upcoming,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes,
So,
yes.
bioinformatics is something that's going to be in big in demand. So, those of you who are
Yes, you
getting into
need
the health field, yeah. So biophotonics, bioinformatics, these are all the futuristic areas. And to enter into it, it's very simple. You need not be a doctor also. You can be just entering inside from science. So if you don't make it
correct.
into NEET, you get into a science, you do your science graduation and focus on being an informatics scientist or bioinformatics scientist, do all these certifications, do all the skills and get working, and you'll be reputed and you'll make a lot of money. It's a big field to get into. And more than that, you'll be serving the humanity in a big way, because today we are talking about telemedicine, we are talking about nanotechnology, sensing technology. You're talking
Yes.
about small sensors entering into your bloodstream, which is measuring your cholesterol. So we are going nano. So if you're a
Yes.
nanoscientist and you're working in the field of nanotechnology, and you can work in the field of health sciences. So without being a doctor also, there are chances that being into research, you can get into it. So I'm being a non-medical person. I'm trying to throw light on how you can enter into the field of health sciences, even though you're not an MBBS, and you still can make it big in this world. So there are huge opportunities, as you rightly brought out. Whether it is equipment, whether it is medical, equipment, it is biotechnology, it is sensors, it is designing equipment. Even the design part of those equipment needs a lot of in-depth
Yes.
study. So you, through the field of biomedical engineering or biotechnology, you can enter into that field also. So there are a lot of areas. So open up your minds, ladies and gentlemen. The world is open for you. Huge possibilities here. I'm sure each one of you is meant for a great future. Now
So,
I'll like now Madhura. We have Dr. Pramit here. If
sure.
Pramit can put on his mic, I would like him to introduce himself to the audience and talk about his journey, because he's a doctor, he's an MBBS. So enough of the non-MBBS stuff. Let's talk pure MBBS now. Let's talk to Pramit. Hi Pramit, welcome to this session, and over to you.
Dr. Pramit?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me and see me fine?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm audible, right? Hello.
Yes, Dr. Pramit, you can go ahead.
Kruti,
We
am I
can hear you.
audible? Okay. Yeah. Fine. Very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to this webinar organized by Dhia. And so I'm Dr. Promit Mukherjee, and that handsome guy, all suited up, ready to go to his friend's wedding out in the picture, that's me out there. So a brief introduction about me. I finished my MBBS from Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Bangalore last year. I graduated last year. And my schooling was from Kolkata, from South Point High School. And I'm here today to talk about my journey into medicine and some of my life-changing experiences while getting into medicine and thereafter. So let's begin. Okay. So the slides, are they changing? Yeah. Okay. So let's start with this. Per aspera ad astra, or the English translation to the Latin proverb would be through hardships to the stars. So it's actually a very funny story. Back around 12 years ago, I wanted to get a tattoo done. And my mother actually allowed me to get one. And then I realized it was not enough to just want a tattoo, but I need to actually think of something, a tattoo which would describe me, how I am, and my personality. And that seemed to be a pretty daunting task. It took about life experiences of another 6 to 8 years for me to finally find a meaningful proverb which would actually describe and echo my personality. So keep this in mind because I'm going to come back to it at the end of my presentation and probably try to sum it up through this. So let's start at the very beginning. So I'm here in front of all of you guys because it all started with a hurdle. So I was 14 years back in 2008, and I got diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disorder called alopecia universalis. So it's pretty much a very fancy name for a disorder which basically is your hair falls off everywhere. So one fine morning, I woke up and so I stand in front of the mirror and I see patches of hair missing and it's falling off. So it's actually a gradual process. First, the hair fell off from the scalp and then from the eyebrows and then the entire body. So today, right now, when I think about it, probably it's not affecting me right now today as much. But back when I was 14 years old, I think it was a very dark period of my life. And I went to an immediate crisis, a huge emotional crisis, because I could not even standing in front of the mirror. I could not even accept, the person I was looking at. I couldn't even identify who I was looking at. Right. So it was pretty difficult for me to accept what I had become, and it did not help trying to go out of home with the constant stares and constant remarks which used to be passed. And truth be told, I realize now that everybody who was around me back then, not everybody, more so strangers and not dear and loved ones, they probably were pretty ignorant about what I was suffering from, and that tends to happen. And so inadvertently, they point out your insecurities and your difficulties to you and make life a bit more hard for you. So what happened as a direct result is I went through the phases of denial as to, okay, God, why did this happen to me? Why me and why not anybody else? And it then I became pretty sad once I realized that yes, okay, I have to live with this. I have to also mention that it was a bit more difficult because there was no definitive cure or treatment for this problem. So I mean, I could be diagnosed, but I had no sense of getting my hair back, and you can see even 12 years later, I'm still the same. So so I went through all those phases of denial, anger, depression, and it became really difficult to go through my daily life. And even though I was a bright student, my studies took a real hard toll, and I think I went away from studies because I was trying to find the meaning of everything, and it was a pretty difficult time. So I was in the eighth standard back then, and a year later, I had a chance of meeting with the team of Dhia, especially Anand Desai sir. So my parents, they realized the hardships that I was going through, and that my studies were being affected because of my issues, both emotional and physical. And so they got me into this career counseling program, which was started back then by Dia. And I had this opportunity to meet with Anand Desai sir on more than one occasion. So I really have to say that he was a person who really impacted my life heavily. Uh, it was a truly life changing experience because he took my focus away from my obstacles and made them look at it all as challenges in life which needed to be overcome. He made me believe in myself. He made me believe that miracles happen in life, and it made me believe that all of us out here, we can dare to dream whatever we want to dream about, and we can go out there in the world and we can achieve all of it. So he was the one who put it to me bluntly: if you want money, you will get it; if you want fame, you will get it; if you want to be good in academics, you will get it; whatever it is that you want, you will get it. It impacted my life in a very big way. I guess I needed that push back then, because I guess I needed that push back then. Had I not got that push back then, it would have been really difficult for me to continue my journey in a more in a smooth manner, or to say even in an effective manner. So I'd like to say it out at the outset that all my success thereafter, I owe definitely first to my parents, because if it were not for my parents, who fought with me, who was with me all throughout, and who still are there with me, fortunately, it would have been a difficult journey. And definitely then to the team of Dia and Anand sir, and to a number of mentors and well-wishers and friends that I have been fortunate to have since that time period. They've all helped me to throughout my journey, and I wouldn't have been here in front of you speaking to you about my life if it had not been for all of them. So, having laid the foundation, let me just tell you what we did. So Anand sir and I, we worked on some goals in life as to what I would like to achieve, what I would like to do in the next few years. So we had them divided into short-term goals and long-term goals. And the short-term goals were pretty simple. So the first one sir wanted me to do was sorry, to overcome my self-consciousness. So back then, because of this disorder, because there was no hair on me, and it looked really weird for me. So I used to wear this cap almost to hide myself from the world. And sir really pointed out to me that you need to come out of that because you're inhibiting yourself. If you're doing that, you're hiding from the world, and you can't do that. So it took some time, but I definitely could get out of it. And also, as I mentioned, that he asked me to develop the focus on solutions rather than obstacles. So obstacles should not be viewed as dead ends in life. Rather, they should be looked at as hurdles which we need to overcome. And that way, life becomes more challenging and more exciting to walk through. The focus was also on to concentrate on my academics, which was falling behind a little bit, and to ace all my upcoming school examinations. Per se, I come from a school whose name is there in the Guinness Book of World Records in the year of 1994 for having the highest number of students, so which is South Point. And there was a tradition; it's still there, and it'll always probably be there, as to the toppers in the school are always highlighted and looked upon as and revered upon as something divine. And it was so even back then. I'm not saying that that is really correct, but it was so even back then. And I guess more than anything, I wanted to feel revered and loved and not to feel ostracized. I'm not saying that I was ostracized, but that is how I used to feel back then. So that was one of the primary goals back then, to do well in academics, and by doing that, to get some respect, out of the world. So to do that, the thing which was needed to be done was to visualize what I first wanted out of life, and to take the first step towards reaching each of them. Now, the first step is pretty simple. You just have to identify what you want in life, and then you got to believe that you're going to get it on a daily basis. Literally, like, if you want something, all you needed to do was, all I needed to do was, just close my eyes and imagine that I've already got it. And and then it would be there, in my hand after a while. So the long-term goals was, okay, I wanted to be a successful scientist. Okay, I want to do some pioneering work, something which would revolutionize the field that I am in. Back then, I was into astrophysics, and I was studying popular science books and stuff. So I loved the concepts behind physics and all. But I guess I was pretty naive. And Anand sir always believed that I do well as an entrepreneur, which I still might. I'm not really sure about it, but probably I might. So one more big factor was to one goal was to contribute back to society. Now this was more of, how do I put it? It was like, since I got a bit of hurt from society. Okay, I'm generalizing it. It was not society. It was probably a few people. But since I got it, I wanted to be better than all of that. I wanted to, and I still want to give back to society, and do something for which, one, I'd get recognition, and also something which would do a lot of good, right? So I'm hoping you guys are getting what I'm trying to get at here. So that was back then, and is still a strong motivator in whatever I do in life. And also, I was just 14, so I wanted to have all the money and luxuries in life I could possibly dream of. I could just, back then, on the vision board, I could just think of a red Ferrari and a house with a pool. I think, yeah, somewhere in the US. That's my idea of luxuries were back then, and it is still so even now. So those were the goals with which I started working. Now, moving on. Okay. So to achieve all these goals, what I really needed to do was first to turn all the negatives that I was feeling, and I thought that was there in my life, into positives, and that was quite a journey. So that meant that, as I said, to turn obstacles into challenges, and the sadness and despair that I felt to turn it into goodwill. And I felt a lot of anger and aggression back then, because once I realized that I can't cure myself, or I can't be cured that easily, I felt like I needed to protect myself from all the bullies and from all the insults and humiliation that was being hurled at me. And so I thought being aggressive and gymming and physically building myself up, and just in general being a very angry young man would help me ward off all the problems, just to shield myself from all that is negative. So that was, I'd say, I was pretty immature back then, so that's the defense mechanism I tried to work up. But so that was a negative, and I had to try and change it off into a zeal to a zeal and a passion to do good, to get what I want, to achieve heights in life, and also resilience. That failures will come in life. You got to learn from it, you got to never give up, and you got to keep moving ahead. So that was me turning negatives into positives. Now, keeping all of this in mind, so what I started doing was, so I had this huge amount of enthusiasm now, so I started getting into different fields apart from academics. So I started playing chess. I started taking part in debate competitions. I started playing basketball, cricket, and I actually played both of those sports for my school team. And because I was visualizing on a daily basis as to how good I want to be in academics, I was actually getting those results too at the same time. So I started topping in all of my school examinations, and I started scoring subject science and both arts and science streams. And so, as I've mentioned down there in my slide, so I kept visualizing all of my achievements even before they had materialized. And looking back at it all, it actually worked for me. So, and the time came for my 10th boards, and I scored a 91.25%. I came second in my school, and I ranked in the top 15 in the state. And I had this dream that I'd go on national television, and I saw those toppers. They interviewed them, and they asked, okay, how did you do? Okay, how did you prepare? How many hours did you do? And I used to rehearse and practice all of these things to want to go online or live on TV and say that. And lo and behold, I actually did so. So that's the power of visualization, guys, for you. So I did that. And then I came to the 11th standard, and I got this opportunity to represent my school in a basic neuroscience quiz, which was called the Brain Bee back then. And it kind of exposed me to what the human brain was all about, and how it works. And that really attracted me. And I actually came first in that quiz competition. And it was a really nice experience. So here I have some pictures. So that is me playing basketball right there, down there on the right. And that's me having won the Kolkata Regional Brain Bee. And the picture on top left is actually me receiving a MP Birla Smarak Kosha award from the chief minister back then in West Bengal, Sri Mamata Banerjee, who is actually still the chief minister. So that is that. And moving on. Okay, the pauses are because my slides are changing a bit slowly, so kindly bear with me. Okay. Okay. Still waiting for my slide to change. Is it possible for the moderator to change my slide to slide number 9?
I don't think so. I'll try.
It's already on slide number 9.
Yeah, it's okay. So the slide has changed for me too. So moving on, the next year came, and okay, no, I've moved one too many. Yeah. So since I had won the regional brain bee in my city, so I got an opportunity to represent Kolkata in Bangalore at the prestigious Institute of NIMHANS. and I came third there. And by this time, the human brain and the workings of the mind, attracted me enough to keep wanting to know more about it in the future. And all of this really played a role as to me deciding what career I should really go into. So having done what I had done in the last 3-4 years since my diagnosis, I was selected for the MP Birla Smarakosh Brave Hearts Award by the MP Birla Foundation, and I did receive it, and the picture of which you saw in the slide before. And then I was also called up by the Telegraph in schools, and they also recognized whatever hurdles I had, and me having successfully overcome them. And they also bestowed 2 awards upon me, and it was a really nice feeling. It was almost like I had visualized, and they were like, in 2-3 years I was instantly getting all of the things that I was wanted to achieve, and I was on cloud nine. So these are some handouts, like in the newspaper cutout you can see me receiving the TTIS award. And yeah, those are just like pictures for you to know, if you just still have a look at. So moving on. So the year after that was the deciding point. I'm guessing a lot of you are in this phase of life where you have to think about what you need to get into. Um, Post your 12th boards, and it's a hugely confusing period of life. So I'd say don't let yourself be bothered about by too many opinions from too many places. It's good to know what each field is all about. Whether you want to be a lawyer, whether you want to be a doctor, whether you want to be an engineer, whether you want to pursue arts, whether you want to get into commerce, whatever it is, it's good to know what each field is all about, but let your life story decide what is best for you. So that's exactly what happened with me. So in my 12th boards, I again scored a pretty decent percentage of 92.75 in PCMB, and then subsequently I cleared more or less the engineering entrances and the medical entrances, and I even applied to basic sciences in St. Xavier's and Presidency University in Calcutta, and and all of the colleges which was offering a basic science course. And it was very confusing for me too, because I was thinking how everybody else around me was thinking. But then I realized, if I have to choose a career, it has to be completely based on what my life has, the journey that I have gone through, and what I am good at, my strengths and my love. And so I ended up taking MBBS because, first of all, in my story I have mentioned about my medical condition. So that played a very vital role, because since it did not have a definitive cure, I realized that there are many gaps in medical research, and there is a lot to explore, and there are a lot of disorders without any definitive treatment. And that was a big impetus for me to get into medicine, to the want to do something, in a field where things are yet unknown. It's still a mystery. So that was one of the impetus from my life story. Another thing was the love for neuroscience. So I had gone into those quizzes. For you guys, it might be something different. You guys must have done, into some other competitions, or you must have been exposed to something. So when you're deciding about your career, make sure that you retrospect and you look at your life and what you have done and what has happened to you, and make sure to use that in deciding where you want to go to. So and also, because of all of these, I also developed this goodwill to do good for the world. Like, okay, let even if I have had issues with the world, I would rather do good back, because that immediately puts me at a higher place than the rest, right? So they were the motivators for me to get into medicine. So that I did take up MBBS after that. And by the time, I think this is just a picture of, I was portrayed in Dea's blog back then after my 12 boards, and that's just to show that. So finally, I took admission in Bangalore under RGHS, and so my college life started. And the first year was pretty difficult. It's pretty difficult because I had to move away from home. and the place was new. I was essentially a North Indian in a South Indian college, or South Indian part of India. So it was difficult per se, because I had just braved through my life in school, fighting off bullies, and having this really aggressive attitude, and just still learning how to turn it all into positive. So I had not yet successfully achieved the transition. So some of my negatives still were there when I went to college, and that impacted my life a lot, right? And but my academics still was going pretty good. So I managed to score a distinction in my first year, and I got a gold medal in my college in biochem, and the enthusiasm was there. So I kept playing cricket for the college team. I took part in debate. I did fashion shows, and I kept up that inquisitiveness to know more. So I kept participating in different quiz competitions. So I did take part in physiology and biochemistry quiz competitions, but I need you to note out here that I was not really successful. I either lost out in the semifinals or did not clear out in the prelims. But sometimes in life, you might not be successful, and that's okay. That's okay. That should just help you increase your zeal even more, that the next time when an opportunity is thrown at you, you do even better. So I need you to note that for me. So, and the year turned around, and the next year I started taking interest in research activity. Now, back then, probably consciously, I was not realizing why I'm going and doing all of this. But now, when I look back at it, I knew that there were gaps in medical knowledge. So that unconsciously probably, promoted me to delve into research, and I did apply for a study under the ICMR short-term studentship program, and I successfully completed the research in 2, 3, 4 months, and out of that research study, I have got now 2 papers which are published in national and international journals. So at the same time, I also kept participating in quiz competitions, but again, I did not get the success that I would have loved to. But that was okay. You'd know why it is okay, because once my story continues, you'll understand why it is now. So the year after, okay, in second year, I again scored a pretty good, decent percentage of 73.5, and at this time, so since I was keeping myself open to opportunities, I used to interact with a lot of people and tell them what my interests were. The professors and doctors and mentors were around, and I used to tell them what my interests, where my interests lied. So one such person was Dr. Vinay HR, and I opened up to him and I told him that I am interested in neurosciences, and that I want to do something in it. And I was lucky enough that he was a person who really took interest, active interest in what his wards and students wanted to do, and he tried to help me out a lot in life. And I also owe a lot of my success to him, and I still try to learn from him. So he is the reason why I went on a bit as my story progresses. You'd see that I kind of went into a bit of psychiatry after that, and that was because of him. And together we did a paper, and I presented that paper at in Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. And so yeah, those are the pictures. So I did win the best oral paper presentation there. And yeah, so also you can see a picture of one of my papers published. So yeah.
Dr. Pramit,
So
sorry
moving
to
on.
Dr. Pramit, can you hear me? Sorry to interrupt you. But you
Can we
can
have
say
a
maximum
slide
5.
change, please?
Dr. Pramit, we have 5 minutes more for you.
Okay, this slide is not really visible for me.
Okay, Dr. Pramit, are you able to listen to me? Are you able to hear? Hello?
I hope I'm
Pramit,
still audible and
are you
visible, but
able
my
to hear me?
slide is showing out here.
Okay. So I think we are running short of time,
Sorry,
Madhura.
guys.
So, yeah,
Okay,
Yes,
it
that's what
is.
I was trying to tell him,
Yeah.
but I think he's not
he's
able
not
to
able
hear
to
me.
hear. So fine. I think
So I
it's
would
been
like
a
to
real
take up some.
inspiration. Yeah, go on, Madhura.
If, yeah, if Naga sir is
Can you
able to, Otherwise, I would take up the questions
Yeah,
that we
let's
have.
take up the questions. Let's take up questions from the audience.
Okay. So I have one question which says, does pharmacy have a scope in India after 5 years?
Help me out here.
So yes, definitely pharmacy
Is
has a
this
scope
slide number?
5 years also, because you
Yeah.
see that healthcare
Okay. So it's
industry.
up for me too. Okay. Sorry for that. So as the story
Pramit,
continues,
Pramit, we are running short.
what happened after that is I had in hello.
So let me take that question
Sorry, the
again.
session is.
Does pharmacy have a scope in India after 5 years? Yes, it has a scope after 5 years, because as you see in this pandemic also, the only few industries which are thriving and which are surviving is the pharmaceutical sector or the medicine sector. So there is definitely scope in pharmacy uh, in terms of you being into manufacturing of the drugs, or you being an
Yeah.
entrepreneur
So
where you can start.
basically, that the
Uh,
kind of stuff that I was showing, that formed the basic chunk of of me achieving year after year. But let me point out as to what I received while being on this journey. So yeah, the slides are changing rather erratically. Okay. Okay. So anyway, so currently I am preparing for my US medical licensing exam steps, and also co-authoring a chapter in a book meant for medical professionals, and working on two separate research studies to be published soon. And where I want to be in the near future is I'd like to get into a residency program in the US by 2022, which I'm working towards. And I want to end up engaging in innovative transitional research in the fields of neurosurgery and behavioral neurology, and thereby to establish myself as a surgeon scientist. So that's my goal out here. And I had started with a slide for Asper ad Astra. So through hardships to the stars. So what I want to tell you guys is all of us here are here to tell a story, and every story inevitably has some hurdles and difficulties in it. But how a story will turn out to be depends completely on how we handle our hurdles. So it's important to not resent the difficulties and the obstacles. It's important to acknowledge and accept their presence as challenges in life, and but not focus too much on them at the same time. So the focus should be on finding your own strengths, and on staying positive. And how you stay positive? You stay positive by using self-belief. So you believe in yourself, and that helps you to stay positive in life. And then you should be brave enough to want great things from yourself and from the world, and believe that you'll get all of it. So because you need to believe, because if your mind can visualize and conceive it, then you definitely can materialize it too. And also know that if you're here, then you're already important. So
Thank you, Pramit. That is
thank you
amazing.
so much to the whole team of Dhia for giving me this opportunity to share my story with all of you. Also, my heartfelt gratitude goes out to my parents, without whom I wouldn't have been here. Dr. Vinay HR, Dr. Ashurani ma'am, Dr. Rajeshwari Gowda ma'am, Dr. Vaishnavi Kulkarni, Dr. Sritama Gupta, and to all my friends, relatives, and well-wishers for always supporting and guiding me. Thank you very much. That
Thank
would
you,
be the
Dr.
end
Pramit.
of my session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, sorry, friends. I will start my answer regarding the pharmacy question again. And I would like to state here that there is definitely scope even after 4 years, because you can work with different sections of the pharmaceutical industry. Could be right from manufacturing to research and development, even to being an entrepreneur, wherein you can start your own pharmacy, or you could be a dealer and stockist in drugs, which includes medical devices also. So there is huge opportunity if you are a pharmacy graduate. So don't be demotivated if you are not able to crack the NEET. Pharmacy is really good option. You can do a research, a PhD in pharmacy, and you can also be a lecturer in pharmacy colleges, which is also another option you can prefer. One more question I would like to take up is regarding the forensic science. Yes, forensic science is a field where you can do there is a lot of scope here also. The scope of employment here would be mostly the government agencies. In international level there are some private forensic labs, but in India you would see mostly they are governed by the government agencies, and there are colleges especially in northern India, which you would see which would specialize in forensic science, and that is also a really sustaining field. And for more details I would suggest you can contact Deya's backend team, and we'll be able to guide you regarding the colleges more, because as we are running short of time, so I would not list the colleges here, but we can help you, our backend team can help you.
I think that's a fantastic sum up, Madhura.
Yes.
We're very sorry that Dr. Nagam Subramaniam could not join because of technical problems. But then we have, I think, addressed most of the questions. And if you want to know the colleges or entry into those fields, then we are always ready to help you. Please get in touch with us on our helpline number. Moment you close off from this session, you'll be able to get into our website and you'll be able to get in touch with us. We'll be very glad to help you all. But then remember that even if you're not getting through NEET, what's more important is look at the various options, look at the various possibilities, and before you jump into something, there are some questions like, should I get into UPSC? Should I appear for both medical and engineering? Let's get some clarity on what you want to do. As you heard Pramit, Dr. Pramit, there was a lot of clarity, and that clarity came because there was self-belief. So I think the key point here is look into yourself, find out what you want to do, explore the world, attend all the sessions today and tomorrow, find out other options also, and then take a call. Don't just jump into medical because it's a preconceived notion that because I'm good at biology, I want to be a doctor. Let's not take the decision of a life like that. Explore the world, be very sure about what you're doing, and then jump into it. Remember that you have got a lot of potential within you. You can achieve great things in life, but understand what you would like to do. Don't do it because your parents are telling you, or because the school is telling you, or because your friends are telling you. Do it because you want to do it. Visualize in your mind, see that future in your mind, as what Dr. Pramit did. It works. The universe will align itself to you if you visualize in your mind. Okay, a lot of you have read this book called The Secret. In fact, The Secret is nothing but a version of what is already there in our scriptures. The Upanishads talk about it. Everything talks about visualization. The more you visualize, the more stronger you become. With that, I think, Madhura, we can conclude the session.
Yes, yes. So I think we have covered, try to explain some of the options which are different from the conventional MBBS or medicine kind of studies. So students can do a search on that, and they
Yeah.
can take help of Dheya to choose the right option for them.
So if you want to discover your skills, get a career planning done properly with a good mentor. So Madhura is a good mentor. Dr. Nagasubramanian is a good mentor. They are all our mentors. So they sit with you. They will make you understand your strengths. You will do a psychometrics. You will understand you what you are very well with your parents, and then make you understand what you should be doing. And then you discover, and then you dream, and then you create a path. So it should be in that steps. So that's how it is going to be. So you can get in touch with us. Moment you sign off from here, you'll be going onto our website. So please get in touch with us on our helpline number, and we'll be more than ready to help you take this ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you
They
so
are
much. Thank you so much, Naveen sir, and thank you all viewers. And we welcome you at Dheya, and we'll be able to guide you in more detail regarding your specific questions. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience.